Hey there on the ROBOTY channel. Today in the episode, we'll show you a business related to cycling, so it's going to be interesting. I'm here with Leo. Great to have you here. Warm welcome.
Hi Wojtek.
Welcome. Where are we? What's in today's episode?
We are in our showroom in Wilanów, newly opened at the beginning of 2026 in March. Here we have our full range, meaning we have bike fitting, service, clothes, bikes and rentals. We'll definitely test some of that today.
So what should we start with?
We'll start with bike fitting. It's quite an interesting thing. Not many people use it, although it's becoming more and more popular in the professional cycling world, but also among amateurs.
Honestly, I don't know what it's about. Whether you know or not, stay until the end of the video and we'll figure it out.
A bike like this costs 50,000, the one we see here. We can even customize a bike for 100,000. The service definitely brings in over 1 million zlotys in revenue, and a good service breaks even at over 10,000. A few 100,000, a new class, but not enclosed, right?
Bike fitting, Gino, Dinodek, welcome. Hi. Valuable information for sure, because I don't even know what bike fitting is and why this bike doesn't have a wheel here. What's going on?
Bike fitting is essentially a process that takes time, and you have to start from the basics. So if you're just starting out with cycling, you need to be set up comfortably so your shoulders don't hurt, your knees don't hurt, and your back doesn't hurt. We always start with an assessment of mobility, muscle tension, and joint mobility. First we set up the bike. That's why there's no wheel, because it has to be on the trainer so you can spin it. We cover all the reflective parts because this system works with reflectors. It just reads the reflection. Markers that are attached to the person, to the body. Thanks to this we get a complete image of the person, all the angles, and thanks to that we're able to set the saddle height, which will affect the knee angle.
And what is the cost, let's say, of carrying out such a process, and how long does it take?
Listen, it takes from 2 hours and up, because depending on which bike we're fitting, we start, as I said, with an interview, we attach the markers and we pedal.
And what about the cost? Because we haven't mentioned that.
850 PLN for a road or MTB bike, 950 for a triathlon bike.
That's with setting everything up, not just the measurement, but everything, including adjustments.
We set everything up, make adjustments, and then measure the whole bike.
All right then, let's get started and show how we can take this bike and adjust it to fit this cyclist better.
So it will be more comfortable for him to ride.
Exactly. And what now? Conclusions. The most important thing is the conclusions. The most important thing is the conclusions. We wrapped it and rode around. It's cool. Here we already have a guy ready for everything. A little guy riding around.
We can start it up. We can analyze the whole movement during and after this short first session. Basically, we analyze the basic things. We can analyze everything and set up the cyclist for races, for the World Championships. This is the program that World Tour teams simply use. We handle the basics, starting with the ankle angle, as I mentioned. I can't adjust it myself, but I can inform my colleague about what needs improvement. And he needs to improve how his ankle joint works. We create a training plan for pedaling technique. Okay. And off we go, right? Hold a weekly pedaling technique training session. You need to complete it. Afterward, we'll start making the adjustments. There's the knee angle, there's the angle at top dead center and at bottom dead center of the crank. The most important is the bottom one, because if we go over those 145 degrees, hyperextensions will start to appear and the hamstring tendons will get strained, which ends up with an injury and, let's say, I don't know, a month of rehabilitation, right? If we overdo it, you can really hurt yourself. Now there's COPS, which is the distance between the kneecap and the pedal axle. And the point is to make sure that the knee doesn't go past the pedal axis. Right? Here we have an average of minus 24 millimeters in the right leg and minus 13 in the left, just because we're not symmetrical, that's one thing. Second, each leg functions differently, as we'll see when we start it.
And on every bike, these results are different later, right?
Well, depending on the person, yes, and depending on the setup. We will raise the saddle up because the knee angle still doesn't reach 140 degrees, which means the muscle output is actually weaker. Now we have the back tilt angle and address it as well. The steerer tube is cut very short. That's why Mateusz is leaning forward a lot and his back angle is at the extreme lower limit. So we need to raise him, which means we'll have to tilt him even more. It's quite complicated because besides raising him, we'll also move him a bit forward just to compensate for the tilt and keep it in a reasonably proper position, right? And we have another parameter to deal with, which is really the distribution of body weight, meaning the angle between the wrists, arms and hips, which determines how much weight we're putting on our hands and how much we're sitting on our butt.
So here, we'll leave you on your own to adjust what we just talked about. We'll move on in this room. So the service area is here. The question is, what gets serviced most often on a bike, or what does a typical bike checkup look like, I don't know, once a season or once a year?
The main issue is usually a punctured inner tube or broken chain. We can actually replace that in 20 bikes in a single day. When it comes to a seasonal checkup, it includes washing the bike, which is really the basic thing. After washing, we move on to cleaning the inside, the hubs, the bottom bracket, and the headset. These are important parts because if we get any play there, even when we're just turning the handlebars one way, the wheel will go the other way, right? Because the bearing will just fall apart. After assembling, we move on to the derailleur. Brakes, checking the handlebars, the saddle, and checking the seat post. We lubricate these parts because they shouldn't move. Use a special paste for both aluminum and carbon frames. A complete inspection like this takes about 4 to 5 hours. We also have some additional services that you can add to this inspection, like wrapping the bike.
But the first thing I see here is a washer. A washer is rather rare in bike repair shops. It's also worth noting that we usually don't wash bikes with hand washers. I once made an episode about a washer like that, let's say with suction, because it rinses out all the grease. Yes?
Yes. Mainly we want to avoid washing out grease or pushing dirt into the bearings. The same applies to the chain links. There are sensitive parts like the brake caliper, chain, and cassette, so avoid forcing water into them under pressure.
So I guess we'll do a basic service to show viewers what they should do and what they should take care of before their first rides in the spring or summer, especially if the bike hasn't been maintained for a while. How do we go about it here?
We'll need to replace the inner tube and do a checkup, but not a full seasonal service or bearing work since the bike is fairly new. The customer bought it last fall and didn't ride during the winter, so we'll definitely be working on the brakes, derailleurs, adjustments, washing the bike, and replacing the inner tube, right? All right. Something else might come up during the work, which happens quite often.
Let's get to work, please.
We have the compressor. The brakes and drivetrain are most important, so we're drying now. Something like that.
So everything has to be like that, right? Yes.
Brakes, drivetrain. To adjust the brake, it's best to come over here from this side. And yes, here we have 2 main bolts responsible for mounting the brake caliper. They are located right here.
And to the frame.
To the frame, yes. We screw them in. It's the same for the rear brake, which is under the frame, but there you screw them directly into the caliper, right? Okay. The rear brake works properly, so to adjust the front brake, you need to loosen these screws. It's best to loosen them about 2 turns. It also depends on how curved the caliper is compared to the disc.
So we unscrew it from the frame, yeah?
Yes. This is the first type of adjustment. It's best to do it by squeezing the brake lever, and at this point we check by tightening each screw just a little bit, once at the top, once at the bottom.
Precise work, yes.
And now everything is, I think, perfect. You can see how it turned out.
With the rear brakes, the rear disc, does it work the same way here? Yes.
Here the rear front caliper is identical.
And when it comes to changing the gears, what about here? There are also a lot of screws here, yes. Screwed in, screwed out, regular Allen screws, let's say Phillips head. And I also know from experience that there are often problems with this, how to set it up so it's right, how it looks here.
In the service. The key thing with the derailleur and what we check first isn't actually the derailleur. Most of them, however, have what's called a hanger, which is an adapter that we mount directly to the frame, and only then do we screw the derailleur onto it. The hanger must be straight in relation to the cassette itself, and for that we have a special tool to check it and, if necessary, straighten it, right? To straighten the hanger, we first need to shift the gears on the derailleur. As you can see here, we can't shift them any lower, so we shift to the lowest possible position. We unscrew the derailleur and screw the tool into exactly the same place where the derailleur was, so we can measure the exact center in relation to the derailleur and align it with the cassette.
When you want to do something like this at home, you don't know what each screw is for, but here it's perfect. 2 screws click, we adjusted something here, the derailleur doesn't drop, it shifts perfectly to the gears it should, so this wheel is ready. Yes.
Here we have the rear brake and the rear derailleur ready. All we really have left is the front wheel, replacing this inner tube and checking the wheel's trueness, which we'll take care of now.
So once the wheel is trued, we install it and then we clean the bike because we've just rinsed off the worst of the dirt for now. Yes. And we'll be getting it ready for the customer. Yes.
Exactly. After this service. At this point we still need to remove the drivetrain and clean it, but I think we'll do that off camera because it's nothing interesting.
So now, my dear friends, we're moving to the second location, also in Warsaw. We'll show you some other interesting things from the world of cycling. Now we've moved to your next location in Warsaw, Elektrownia po Wiśle.
Exactly, we're at Elektrownia po Wiśle. Here we have a cafe, a service center, a shop, a rental, and a lot of different accessories, clothes, let's say everything related to bikes and general sports stuff like gels.
I just wanted to mention it's unusual, at least for me, to see bikes combined with a cafe. It's rare to find businesses like this together.
The main idea here is that everyone can take advantage of our offer, not just typical cyclists, but also cycling enthusiasts. In fact, about 80% of our customers aren't cyclists because we're in the center of Warsaw, so we have access to practically every group. Most of our customers are actually people who just come to the mall. There are the most athletes in the mornings when they're finishing or starting their training, or on weekends when they actually start training from 8 a.m. until sunset, right?
Sure, but as we can see here, this service is also provided here, not just at your location where we were earlier, right?
We provide service here. We actually do basic repairs here, although you can come to us with any, even the most, let's say, complicated issue. Then we transport the bike to our main service center in Wilanów or Mokotów. It gets repaired there because that's where we have all the specialized tools, and here we just do repairs on the spot. We try to help mainly with things like changing inner tubes, adjusting derailleurs, replacing tips, because we're also located by the Vistula, the main bike path in Warsaw, so if anything happens, we're able to help. We're here to assist until 9 o'clock p.m. So I also think that we're the longest running service center in Warsaw, and as for Sundays, we also have the service open here because of the rental shop we have.
Here's also a cool thing I noticed, a map that you can use, and actually you can buy it for 20 zlotys.
Yes, exactly. We have a city game for families with children. If you solve it, you can get 1 drink for 1 map. I'll show you what kind of bikes people buy here at the power plant. We have a partnership with the TT brand, which is an Italian manufacturer, where you can actually design and build a bike from scratch, meaning we make the frame based on a bike fitting. We perform the bike fitting, send the measurements to the manufacturer, then the frame is built and accessories are chosen similarly. When it comes to bikes that you can order from us, we also have a warehouse and we have other stores where these bikes are available, so you can, for example, order here. And for example, within a day, in fact, we are able to deliver the bike to the customer's home or ship it, because there are also customers who order a bike here in Warsaw but want to send it somewhere outside of Warsaw or even outside of Poland, right? Sometimes a customer orders a bike and we ship it to France.
Okay, that's also an interesting topic from a business perspective. I know that the founder is here with us, that is Maciek, the founder of this whole business. We'll talk to him about how everything looks strictly from a business point of view. Here at Elektrownia po Wiśle, Maciek, the founder of this whole business, is also with me. Hi, welcome. You might even be considered a bit of a visionary.
Yes, an enthusiast.
An enthusiast and visionary, this business was born from passion.
Exactly.
So what, you just rode a bike and thought you'd start opening bike shops, or?
Yeah, I rode a lot, I raced a lot. I even got myself a job at a bike shop for half a year to learn the business, and I knew how it could be done better, so it kind of came out of ambition.
Better in one way and also unusual because, let's say, combining a bike shop and service with a cafe is an unusual combination.
Yeah, that's an idea I picked up from traveling around the world. There are projects like that abroad, cafe concepts from somewhere in Western Europe.
But considering that you're open here from 10 to 9, 7 days a week, at least that's how I understood it, you have to sell quite a few cakes, bikes and accessories just to cover the rent in a place like Elektrownia po Wiśle. How does it work here?
Well, we mainly sell expensive products. I mean, expensive products that can cost 1,000 zlotys right off the shelf. So for the average person, that might seem like a huge amount. For a cyclist, an amateur from Warsaw, that's not necessarily the case. Very expensive bikes, yes, for 10, 20, even 50,000.
Okay, I wanted to ask earlier, since we discussed a custom bike and how you can adjust it to fit you. So are the prices around 20 or 30,000?
No, a bike like that is 50,000, the one we're looking at. Yes, this is actually my bike, but we can even customize a bike for 100,000.
Did you create this place with the idea that it would work out as a business, or is it still about passion, like because I wanted to have a place like this?
I think it was out of passion, maybe even out of foolishness, I'd say, because it's really hard to make a business work in a place like this. But we have a network, we count on this being an advertisement for the whole network, right? Because we have about 7 or 8 locations, right? We also have a rental in Spain, and we have a rental in Nice, France. So we split the rent a bit for marketing purposes, for example, 2,000 or 3,000 per store, and then it's much, much better. But, well, this is such a legendary place. I'll put it this way, I didn't conquer the world in cycling, so I thought maybe I'll make the best cycling cafe in the world. That's what we're aiming for here. Oh,
I respect that business approach too. You have a few locations, but it also seems to me, and as I test different jobs, that working in a bike shop or just selling accessories is very seasonal work. Paying the same rent here every month, along with all the related fees. What happens during the winter off season?
in the winter we ride in Spain, or we go to other warm countries, or to the Canary Islands, Mallorca in Spain. I always have rentals in Spain in January, February and March. And those clients in Poland during winter, it's -20 here, but they come to us, buy clothes, because in a week they're flying to Spain, where they rent a bike from us, but they also need to dress up there. We don't wait, we just change location. Well,
but regarding the rental, so what? Are you now stationing those bikes here, or are you renting them out? No.
I only have Spain until the end of March, or maybe until mid-April, it varies, but then we have the whole year in France, in Nice. So from the 1st of April until Christmas, we have a rental in Nice.
And your people there are Polish, right?
Who we actually have cooperation with France there, with a French shop, but we provide the customers, we provide the bikes, and they provide us with the place, the location, and the service.
And these are bikes that, for example, they wouldn't be able to rent there because, let's say, such things just aren't available locally.
They don't work, have better bikes, but avoid getting involved. Running a rental is tough since we provide expensive bikes, like giving out 10 bikes worth 15,000 each, making it a 150,000 investment. They don't want to because they're afraid the bike will get damaged. We wrap every bike, right?
You're not afraid of that, are you?
Well, we're going a bit against the grain in this situation. Well, you have to, right? You have to stand out. Yeah.
That's for sure. But I wanted to ask, when you put, a bike worth 15,000 into a rental, how much does it cost per day to rent a bike that, let's say, costs 15,000 retail?
In France, it's a lot because it costs 70 to 80 euros per day, but we split that money with the French, of course. But in Spain, it's cheap, only we have a completely different volume, because in Spain, it's 20 to 30 euros depending on the bike. For a shorter period, it's more expensive if someone takes it for a week. I'll tell you, for example, how it works in Spain. We are an alternative to shipping a bike, so if we fly with Wizz Air or Ryanair and take our own bike, it costs 130 euros. To Spain, for example, for a week, and we offer a similar price, for example, 150 euros, but you have a ready, clean bike door to door, meaning we deliver it to the hotel and pick it up from the hotel.
What premium products are these?
It's just easier, because when 4 buddies fly with 4 big suitcases, they have a problem, since it's 70 kilometers from the airport to the main base in Calpe. That's the world cradle of cycling in the winter, and we say just fly with backpacks, with carry-on luggage, rent a car, or we can even arrange transfers for them. You'll get a bike, clean and ready, you return the bike, we wash it, service it, and we even provide assistance from our side, which is really great. So if something happens on the route, and unfortunately accidents do happen.
Thanks. I'm really impressed, let's say, by your business approach, from cycling, racing, to building such a brand and business that earns not only in Poland, but also abroad.
Yes, we also have a business for corporations. We have a very well-developed bike day program, which means we do mobile bike services for corporations. We get up in the morning and set up in front of an office building, the office or the company with a lot of employees pays, and we provide a mobile service for them. These are busy people in offices. They come to work by bike, or we pick up their bikes by car because they don't have time to go to a service shop. We do dozens of such events. Well,
that's also an interesting combination, another branch of one business.
Yes, another branch. There are many of them.
Out of curiosity, how many people are there who work but aren't visible?
Well, I once counted over 30 people, so yes, you don't see them, but about 35 people currently, yes.
And the biggest, let's say, profit from this whole business, what do you count it from? When you sum up, let's say, different branches like the shop here, the cafe there, bike sales, bike fitting, what do you make the most money on?
I think generally on services, but the most on servicing. Servicing definitely brings in over 1 million zlotys in revenue, maybe even more. I think about 1.5 million. Monthly? No, yearly. So that's quite a lot. On servicing, just servicing and bike repairs, right? But we also offer bike fitting, which brings in several 100,000. Sales are harder to estimate since we buy bikes, use them in Spain to earn money, and then sometimes sell them at cost. We don't profit from selling the bikes, but one has already made about 1,000 euros in Spain, right? Exactly.
But considering that, 1 million in revenue from servicing and just renting a place like this for a year will cost you 500,000 in rent, you really have to factor all of that in, right?
It's a cafe, so about 2/3 of the rent is covered by it, right? Here the rent is actually high, but we have places like this in Bemowo, in Ursus, in the less affluent districts of Warsaw, let's say, where the rent is quite low, and there the service centers make a lot of money in Sołania. Yeah.
So somehow it all comes together. We, my friends, are going back to the service center to get our hands dirty again. Exactly. Here we talked about business. I think you'll comment on this episode now as well in terms of whether you know anything about cycling or if you got interested in this topic like I did while making this episode, because it's really super interesting. Previously, I saw a bike simply as transportation from point A to B.
But since you're here, can I offer you some cake?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we have a little surprise. So maybe let's go over there to the table. Come on.
Oh my, come and see.
A surprise for you. Into your hands. You can sit comfortably at the table.
Little table. Do I have to eat all of this? All right, but since we're in a cafe, there's coffee, there's cake, so now we'll just share it with all the staff here and get back to work, because that's important too.
Exactly.
Coffee, cookies were great at that place, at that spot. Here, this spot, as we've noticed from the very beginning, is definitely different. We have quite a lot of equipment and bikes here. That's something they didn't have there, yes.
That's exactly the point there. A customer comes in, gets friendly with us, but if they want to pick something specific, try it on, test it out, then we invite them to our other stores. Here we have a wide selection, especially of bike sizes. We have electric bikes, some city bikes, and a lot of accessories. That's it.
It's well thought out, because if we had a 200 or 300 square meter store there, like here,
we would go bankrupt. That's it.
Honestly, just the rent alone would be around 150,000, like you mentioned. Different bikes, gravel bikes, that's also kind of...
very trendy now. It's a bit of a trend. Well, it's a nice, comfortable bike. We have that drop handlebar. People like bikes like that.
So can we ride a bike like that normally?
Everywhere. I ride in the city, but I also competed in races on Saturdays on a bike like that. So now,
to interact with the viewers as well, be sure to write in the comments what kind of bike you have. Personally, I have a city electric bike, but if you have any cool or unique bikes, write about them in the comments. They'll know more about this than I do, but I'll be happy to read those comments, of course. And as we mentioned, and keep talking about this business here with you, since you're the one who came up with all of this, so what about this place? We're here by the bike path, so it's a good location too.
This place is great. It's really nice because we're in the basement, so the price per square meter here is much cheaper than one floor up. Thanks to that, we have over 200 square meters here, and the location is right in the center of Wilanów, right next to the palace. Here, well, the clients are quite wealthy, which is really nice.
And what is the biggest cost in a business related to a store or a service center?
The hardest part is having working capital for inventory, because here we have quite expensive bikes. Each bike costs 10 to 20,000 zlotys, so stocking up on them is probably the biggest expense. Then there are loan interest payments, private investors. In my opinion, an employee is not really a cost because he earns his own salary. We pay, but he kind of generates that money. You have to be smart about the premises and location, right?
Well, yes, because let's say if you look at one piece of clothing in one color, but in many sizes like SM and so on, then probably just one rack costs about 50,000, it's possible.
Easily. We did a rough calculation, and here we have a lot, several 100,000. We have a new batch of clothes, right? Yeah. Sometimes clients think that we don't have their size or something is missing. It's not easy to just get it.
Maciek, as we're heading to the checkout now, we'll go there too. I'm not buying any bikes today, but I did put in some work. We've shown the service, we've shown the bike fitting, so now let's talk about how much an employee can currently earn.
We start at 5,000 zlotys when it comes to a basic mechanic, whom we often train. Here at Road Bike, there is no earnings limit. There are percentage bonuses based on how much you work. The best employees can even make up to 20,000 zlotys a month.
But what, just from servicing bikes? No way.
Yes, from servicing or sales, but in season, a good mechanic could earn over $10,000, sometimes more than $12,000.
Oh my goodness. That's good money, I mean, for servicing, because, you know...
That's interesting too, yeah. In general, manual work is becoming more and more valued.
I think so too.
But you have to put in those hours too. It's not like a regular 8-hour job, right? Often they work 10, 12, even 14 hours, right? Employees make a lot of money by going on those bike days for corporations because you have to travel somewhere like to Krakow or Wrocław, and then you spend the whole day at work from morning till evening. So these are some multi-day events, right? But a good technician can easily make 10,000.
So I'm happy too because I have my can today. So I'll get something out of a day's work like that too. If you don't know what the Can for Work is about, of course, follow my social media, other episodes where we talk about it, about how much goes into that can. That'll be 3 shots of vodka.
A day's work like that for you.
Oh, a day's work like that.
A good service technician.
A good service technician, the beginning. So my friends, just like Maciek mentioned, it's worth moving towards these manual activities. So let's say we're interested, we have a passion related to bicycles, or you are also passionate about it. Exactly. We want to service them so you can also make good money in this direction.
In my opinion, yes. And that's true in many industries, even in the cleaning industry. I think there's just a shortage, right? I think that's a big gap in the market.
Training in this area is valuable. Thanks for the invitation. We sincerely thank the viewers for watching this material all the way to the end. For me, there were a lot of interesting facts, a lot of cool equipment that we showed, so please leave a like under this material, of course.